Welcome back to the Slasher Siblings podcast. I'm your co-host Cicely,
I'm your host Hayden.
and today we're talking about the movie Maxine. In 1980s Hollywood, adult film star and aspiring actress Maxine Minks finally gets her big break. But as a mysterious killer stalks the starlets of Hollywood, a trail of blood threatens to reveal her sinister past. It came out this week, obviously July 2024. It's rated R. It's an hour and 43 minutes long, and it got a 6.9 out of 10 on IMDb.
Not too bad, a little low, I think.
Yeah, I think so too.
I probably liked it just as much as I liked the other two movies.
I did really like this movie too. Like, the whole trilogy I liked.
Yeah, they really haven't made a bad movie. Plus, it's A24, so they don't really make bad movies.
Yeah.
But, yeah, let's get into the movie here and we'll talk about it. So, the opening to the movie was with home video, and did it play, like, a piece of the one from X?
Yeah.
It did?
Yeah.
I thought that it did. But it played it right at the beginning, and then it went into, like, a dance number of Maxine, you know? And I kind of noticed that Maxine's dance in the home video was the same as the audition dance for Pearl. Did you notice that?
Oh, really?
She, like, did the same dance as she did in the audition, which I thought was really cool. And it was kind of like a callback to Pearl in a way, because it had to have been the same dance, you know. And then there was it's also like a callback to X with that home video that it's I will not accept a life I do not deserve, or whatever. She says that a lot in X, so kind of cool that they were kind of like shouting out to their original, like the first two movies and
I thought
stuff.
it was cool. There was a lot of stuff that,
Yeah.
like, Jesse watched it. That was the first one he saw. He didn't understand any of the references. Like, if you don't watch the first two, there are things you won't understand in the third.
Right. Yeah, that's definitely true.
I like the saying.
Yeah. I will not accept a life I do not deserve.
I said, period! Period!
And, it was cool to see that video, too, because we don't truly get too much of a glimpse into Maxine's past. Other than, like, what, you know, she's said and admitted in the movies, which isn't very much. And, we also don't truly know why she left her father behind and stuff. It's because, you know, he was crazy and stuff, and, like, she didn't want that life anymore. But it was more of, we didn't get, like, like, what the actual situation was of why she left, because there had to have been, like, the last straw, you know?
Yeah.
Like in Pearl, there was a last straw to where, you know, she killed her mom. Well, kind of accidentally set her on fire, but there was a last straw. So what was Maxine's last straw for leaving? So on to the next point was Maxine was at that interview for the audition. Audition. And Mia Goth is a fantastic actress.
Oh, she's great.
And to be, like, an actress in a movie acting as an actress. You see how that sounds?
Yeah.
Like, that's a double.
Yeah.
Like a double.
You're playing an actress as an
actress. Yeah. So it's like you have to, like, double act almost.
Yeah.
And that can't be easy. It's not exactly easy to act in the first place. You know, it probably gets about acting in a movie can't be that hard, but, like, yeah,
I bet I could do it.
I bet it probably really is pretty damn tough. You know?
Oh, I'm sure. Like, Can I cry within 30 seconds?
No.
Yeah. I can.
I can't. It's tough for me to do that. But
I have several things in my brain that I can think about right now. And it's not even like anything crazy. It's like I found Jim at East Park.
Yeah.
Stork. Somebody dumped him at East Park. Anyways, guys, justice for Jim. If you don't know who that is, check my Facebook. Thanks.
And they don't have an exactly easy time because it is competitive as well.
Yeah.
But it's like you actually have to be good at acting in order to be an actual actor.
She has a lot of confidence in this movie too.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Which I like.
But we've seen movies with just terrible, terrible acting. And you can just tell that, you know, there's people that are not good at acting.
Yeah.
It's like... But,
we've seen
anyway.
a few movies like that.
Yeah.
What was the one about Thanksgiving? Do you remember?
Oh, The Blood Rage.
Is that what it was? The acting was just
horrendous.
So bad.
Yeah. So, yeah, so it's tough being an actor, but to be an actor acting as an actress, that's 2 levels deep.
Yeah.
So it's like harder. Because you have to pretend to be someone who's pretending to be somebody. That just sounds...
I'd get confused with myself.
That just sounds confusing. But they wanted to see her tits, which I thought was funny.
That was funny.
And she was just like, hey, before you leave, can you show us your breasts? She's like, yeah, sure. And they were just talking about like her porn background. Like seconds before that.
Yeah.
And they were just like, yeah, can you just show us your tits, please?
Yeah.
She's like, yeah. Like they kind of asked it in a way that was like, I don't know if you really want to, but it's like everyone's seen them. What does it really?
Yeah, there's no difference, I think.
And I just thought it was funny that she was like, yeah, sure. Like, the 900th time in my life. Anyway, oh yeah, like I don't really remember too much nudity. Like they didn't even show her tits in that scene. So there wasn't
a ton.
There was one moment later that I'm sure you remember that we'll get to, that there was obviously nudity for that, but there wasn't really any. Or well, I guess her friend, but anyway, that doesn't matter. I like the part where she leaves the audition and she starts yelling at the girls. She's like, you might as well just go home because I just nailed that fucking interview or that audition. And like all the looks on the girls' faces, like, this bitch. Like how the hell did she
was
get
right
it?
Though.
Yeah, she was right. I thought it was just funny the way she came out there and confidently it was just like, fuck all you, get out of here. Which ended up being true. And then I thought the news broadcast over the opening credits was really cool.
Yeah.
And it was showing like Richard Ramirez, the Night Stalker. Like that was like real life that actually happened, so it was like kind of cool to see that. And I don't know, it was just interesting to see it because, you know, that became like a plot point in the movie. Like he didn't have anything to do with it, the movie specifically. Like he wasn't in it.
Yeah.
But it was, you know, that time period, so everyone, you know, was scared.
I thought it was cool.
Yeah,
I really liked the aesthetic.
Yeah, for sure. Then she was getting ready for work and everything. And not too much happened in this scene specifically. They were just talking to each other about, you know, about life and Maxine always working and stuff. But there was a little callback. The Pearl with the cocaine goose.
Yeah.
There was a glass goose that was clearly a cookie jar, but it was filled with cocaine. And I just called it the cocaine goose. And it calls back to that moment in Pearl where she kills that goose and feeds it to the crocodile, which I thought was another cool little callback. And it wasn't like... That was one of the ones that you have to watch the movie to really understand as well. but it like wasn't just thrown in your face for you to see.
Yeah.
It was just like, yeah, it's a goose. You make the connection.
You figure it out.
Yeah.
I actually pointed it out before she touched it. I said, "Oh, look at that goose! It's so cute." Then she opens it, and there's just a bunch of cocaine. I said, "Oh,
not so cute anymore."
Oh, it's not a cookie jar." All right.
Then the next scene after that, she got bad and good news from her agent, which is Giancarlo Esposito, which he was, I don't know if you watched Breaking Bad, but he was like the bad guy in a couple of the seasons.
Yeah.
I think he's a great actor. He's so cool. Anyway, he told her that she didn't get the music video, unfortunately, but she did get a horror role, which seemed to be back in the 80s. It seemed that an actor or actress's breakout role always seemed to be in horror movies, didn't it?
Yeah.
Like Jamie Lee Curtis and the girl from the first movie in this movie, what was it, Purifier. It was a fake movie in this universe. She got her breakout role from Purifier 1, and then Maxine's in the sequel.
Yep.
So that's gonna end up probably being like her breakout role.
Yeah.
It always seems like, especially women back in the 80s, when they did a horror movie and they did really well and became like a scream queen or something, that was their way. That
was it.
Drew Barrymore was Scream, now that I think of it.
Speaking of women in the 80s, today, right? Shelley Duvall passed away?
Yeah, today Shelley Duvall passed away.
Rest in peace.
What a queen that one.
I saw that.
She put up with, what was the director for The Shining's name?
Oh, fuck.
She put up with the director and Jack Nicholson in The Shining with, what was it, 153 takes or something in that stairway?
Oh, what's his name?
Scene.
Why can't I remember?
I can't remember it either, but
it's like the most popular.
Yeah.
It's not John Carpenter. It's Steven Spielberg.
I don't remember, but yeah, it was a pretty taxing. Stanley Kubrick. I knew that. It was a pretty taxing shoot for that movie, so you got to give her credit for sticking it out, number one. And number two, just doing over 100 takes on one scene because they just couldn't get it right.
It's got to be frustrating.
It has to be frustrating, and she's gonna be a legend. So, and she quit acting after that. I think she only came back for like one small role or two small roles or something. But she's definitely a huge legend in the horror community. So, rest in peace to her, unfortunately. But for the next scene, we meet a weird leather man who has just a leather coat, dark hat, and leather gloves. We have no idea who this dude is, but it kind of introduces the antagonist of the movie, who is the shadow, who was the guy in the shadows,
he was freaky.
Yeah, he was the murderer that was previously mentioned in the summary of the movie. But this is where we meet him, and it's a pretty creepy scene, to be honest with you. You just like hear the leather glove crinkle as he closed his hand and stuff. That was weird. And then right after she was working in the strip club, I think. Right? Yeah. So after her work in the strip club, she started to walk home, and she was followed by a guy. And she starts running from him, in a way she seemed helpless, right?
Yeah.
But then she gets to the end of the alley and realizes that she's locked in to the alley with him. And he pulls out a knife and threatens to stab her and stuff. She whips out her gun like, I ain't helpless, so you're screwed now. You're screwed. You're stuck in here with me.
Yeah.
It's not the other way around. And so she scares the shit out of him with the gun, makes him get on his knee, strip down naked, get on his knees.
Good for her.
And suck on the barrel of the gun.
Yep, good for her.
Makes him lay down. And probably one of the most brutal scenes in this movie is while he was laying on the ground, in heels, she stomped on his nutsack.
Good for her, dude.
Good for her, yeah, for him doing that, because it could have been the Night Stalker.
Yeah.
But it wasn't. It's just like, that cannot feel good.
I was happy that she did that.
Oh yeah, awesome. He deserved it. Fuck him. Yeah. But it's like, I mean, it's worse for me because I'm a dude, but like, I couldn't imagine that happening. No. That has to be like, that has to be like one
Stomp
of the.
on his nuts. That was me in the theater.
One of the most brutal pains ever.
I said, I'll save that one.
Save that.
I'll put that in my back pocket.
Which, I mean, he deserved it. He was threatening to kill her. Who knows what the hell else he was going to do to her in that alley. And, you know, he deserved it. It's just, wow, that was brutal.
Yep.
And it actually showed the nutsack. That's the nudity I'm talking about. It showed his nutsack and her stomp on it and it, like, explode.
Yep.
Like, it showed everything.
Pretty sick. Pretty wicked.
It was cool special effects for the movie. That was wild.
Yeah.
It looked like a real nutsack.
Yeah, it did.
Anyway, then she, you know, goes back home after everything, and someone leaves a package in front of her door, knocks on the door.
Yeah.
And it said, "For Maxine," and she puts the tape in the VCR, and it's her scene from X in the barn.
Yeah.
That's weird. That's technically evidence. You know?
Yeah.
Who the hell has this video?
How'd they get it?
How'd they get it from the police? Because that should be locked in evidence for the ongoing murders at the farm.
Yeah.
You know? So it has an unanswered question for the majority of the movie. Like, who the hell is this dude? Because we saw who put it there. We did.
Yeah.
It was the Leatherman. But we didn't see, you know... Or Maxine did not see him. He put it down and we saw him leave and everything. But then, shortly after this moment, her friends start getting kidnapped. The girl from the strip club that she worked with, that was friends with her, and then...
Halsey.
Was that Halsey?
Yeah.
With the short hair? Uh-huh. I thought that was her. I recognized her, saw her name, but I couldn't...
Yep, that was her.
Or I didn't... I thought she looked familiar. I didn't recognize her. I don't truly really know her. I'm not a huge fan, but...
I just know who she is.
Right. So, and then Halsey's character, who... What did they do together? How'd they work together? I don't remember what their job together was, but they are both kidnapped, and we see them, you know...
I think it was just, like, being porn stars.
Maybe.
That's all.
Oh, the porn star lady was the blonde girl. The porn star girl.
Oh, right.
And then Halsey's character was the strip club girl.
Yep.
And we see that her friends are kidnapped, and that they are somewhere, we don't know where, but they're somewhere, like, bound and gagged. Yep. And they're being walked down the hallway.
Yep.
While being videotaped. And a center point in this movie is that bodies are turning up that are surrounding Maxine in some way.
Yeah. All related to her.
All related to her in some way, like friends or whatever. And they're carving the satanic symbol that the Night Stalker uses to make it look like it's the Night Stalker.
Yeah.
So this doesn't bode well for her two friends. But then we get flashbacks of X. You know, her being, you know, attacked by Pearl and Howard, and, you know, I think, we saw the moment where she runs over Pearl's head and stuff too. Mm-hmm. Which was kind of a nice little callback to X as well. But they also find the two girls' bodies in the pond. So now they're dead as well.
Yeah.
Which sucks because those two characters were kind of cool.
Yeah.
But the stakes are being raised. You know, every scene there's a new stake in this movie for Maxine. But then she gets a note that says "Call for a good time," which I thought was kind of funny. Because she's the porn star and stuff. And,
yeah, so she's like, what?
Yeah, she's like, what the?
Who's this?
Yeah, who's this? But then, did she call the number? Yeah, she called the number and she was like, who the hell is this? Why did you give me this? And he's like, well, you need to meet with me and we'll talk about it. Or he threatened her in some way. I forget how it was, but he threatened her. And then she went and had the meeting with John, the private detective.
Yep, Kevin Bacon.
It was Kevin Bacon's character, which he did really he did really so good in this movie.
He looks so old.
But he did so good. And he wouldn't say who his boss was, who hired him, but we know that it's someone who's pretty much mad at Maxine, who hates Maxine at this point. But then after the meeting, she heads home, and this is when the detectives show up at the house. And they're like, hey, your friends are dead, we found them, blah, 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 we need to ask a couple questions. She's like, I don't talk to police. And leaves, right? And she leaves and goes to the actual meeting saying, with John, meeting him. Yeah. And they actually sit at the table, which was a really creepy scene because he was kind of like rude in a way, but not rude. And was like offering her food and drinks and stuff, but was like still saying it. It was like passive aggressive. And once again, he wouldn't admit who his boss was. And was like, I can't tell you that. You know, I have blackmail. You need to do what we say, or you know, the whole world's gonna find out. You know, about your past or whatever, and you'll never work in this town again. Yeah. It's like, that's fucked up.
That's fucked.
Yeah. So, the lady from the beginning at the audition, there was a nice scene where Maxine was, I think, late to the shoot, wasn't she? I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
And, the lady from the audition in the beginning was like, don't do that again. You know, you have to be serious about this, blah, blah, blah. She's like, I stuck my neck out for you.
You gotta be here. You
gotta be here because I really went above and beyond for you. And she was like, listen, the higher ups don't want you because they think your role in this would be controversial because you're a porn star, which doesn't make sense because, you know, this is a horror movie about an exorcism, blah, blah, blah. So they're just being idiots, basically, is what she said. So she stuck her neck out, and this shows that, you know, she's a good character in the movie. She might be tough,
but I think she needed it.
She needed it. She was a really nice character to have in this movie.
Yeah.
At least someone was being nice to Maxine. And then the guilt kind of caught up with Maxine for a little bit, and she ran to her agent and told him everything, just straight from the beginning of X until this moment of everything that happened. And he basically said, I will die for you because you were so close to your breakout, and that I'm going to do whatever I need to help you. I promise. And that was another convincing moment of someone who actually cares about Maxine.
And believes in her.
He's like, I'm going to do whatever I need to do to make sure you're successful, because you are literally this close.
Yeah.
That was nice that she had someone also another person being nice to her. But then, the nice guy at the video store is killed by Leatherman. And, in a pretty brutal way. He stabs through the cast and slashes him up. And that's...
Cuts the back of his neck.
Like, he got killed pretty brutally. Yeah. And his body starts to come out of the store, and she saw all the cops, and she came down, and was looking, and she looked out of the window, like out of the crowd, and the detective flipped the sheet up, and she starts to freak out because that's her best friend, I guess you could say, because they were super close throughout the movie.
Yeah.
And this is when the detectives are like, all right, you need to come with us and you need to talk to us now because shit's going down and we want it to stop.
Yeah.
But then she says, no, I can't do anything. You just need to watch out for him or whatever. She goes to the movie set, and this is where she was late to the movie set.
She was late to this part.
Yeah, she was late to this part. And this is where she meets the actress from the first movie, which was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Even though, you know, the movie's fake.
Lily Collins.
But like it was still cool to see, you know, the
Yeah.
original actress
Yeah.
or whatever from the first in-universe movie. But they had a nice conversation saying that we need to stick together and that, you know, this could be your breakout role. You seem like you can do really well, blah blah blah. So, you know, there's camaraderie there. But then shortly after this, John chases Maxine through the set to the Psycho house, which was cool.
Yeah, that was cool.
And the Psycho house is a pretty big part of the movie. They go to it a couple times, and
Dark.
It's so dark and
compared to everything else.
I know. And the hotel, the Bates Motel, and the Psycho house are there, which it's in the movie, and pretty freaking cool. But then John gets chased off. She gets away from him, and Maxine starts to leave, and the lady, who I forget her name, the director lady, she's like, you need to go have fun over the weekend because once Monday comes, you need to be serious about this movie.
Serious as a heart attack.
Yeah, and no other obligations. So, during this having fun for the weekend montage, I guess you could call it, she traps John in the car and smashes the car with him in it, which was
gnarly,
yeah. And he's like begging
not to die,
yeah, which was a really cool scene to see.
Yeah, I thought it was cool.
And this was all set up by her agent, who promised to take care of her. So then after that, Maxine decides to go to the house that she got the address for, of where all of her friends have been going. She pieced it together that each of her friends had said, hey, I'm going to a party up in the hills.
Yeah.
But she didn't think anything of it. She just I can't go to a party tonight.
Yeah.
And she just kept not going. And then her friends ended up, you know, turning up dead.
Yeah.
And she decides that she needs to go up to the house to try and figure out what's going on and to try and stop what's happening not only before she starts filming, but before any more of her friends die.
And before she dies, I guess.
And before she dies, of course. But as she's entering the house, she hears thudding upstairs. She goes upstairs, and we see the movie from the beginning. With that little home movie from the beginning, where she was a little girl. And this is the moment where we find out her dad is the Leatherman and has been killing and murdering people this whole movie. And blaming it on the Night Stalker, which is crazy. So she's obviously scared and frightened by her dad and everything. So she starts backing up and kicks the suitcase down the stairs. Out pops Molly's
leg,
arm, and a head.
Yep.
In a suitcase.
Disgusting.
Just torn apart.
Yeah.
And stuffed in a suitcase. And this is where another friend of hers has died. And this is where we found out Molly's dead too. And you know, that scene was just like, what the fuck?
That was disgusting.
Right. Like, how the hell did he get the party?
Yeah.
But that's fucked up. But now he knocked out Maxine and tied her up to the tree, and is going to do an exorcism on her to get the devil out of her.
Very intense.
Very intense. And was going to set her on fire.
Yep.
Alive.
Yep.
Set her on fire alive.
So she could just burn to death.
Burn to death. His own daughter, of all people. And luckily, the detectives show up. And me and X were watching the movie, and I saw the first detective. I was like, "Oh, thank God!"
Yeah.
I was like, I didn't see any way of her getting out of it. And I was like, "Oh, thank God, she's gonna live." Yeah, she's not dying yet. But the detectives show up, and it, basically starts an all-out brawl between the detectives and the dad. But then I really like the guy as an actor, the dude detective.
Yeah.
And his character is shot, and the other is stabbed right in the eyeball. Yeah. But the woman detective ended up shooting him and mortally wounding him. So he's not going to live. But she also doesn't have an eye. Or hopefully she's still alive.
Yeah, because
we don't see her for the rest of the movie. That was it. She rolled down the hill, and that was the end of it. But then she walks up to talk to her father, right? And then the helicopter shows up and says, "It's over, Maxine." And then we get a scene of Maxine on the news about everything that happened, about her father being a psycho, and that she's an actress, stuff like this, and everything. And then we see her at her movie premiere for Purifier 2, where everyone's chanting her name and screaming for her, and she's a star. Yeah, she looks great. She's a star, and it was really nice to see that scene, that everything turned out right.
Yeah.
And turned out the way she wanted it, even though it's been a terrible ride. Yeah, it's been a terrible, crazy ride for her. This trilogy. Well, 2 movies, I guess, but in this trilogy. But then it was all just in her mind. That whole chanting her name thing in the movie premiere and everything. But Maxine ends up shooting her dad. Dad's dead. His head just blew up. And Maxine's sitting in her trailer doing some cocaine.
Yep.
And the guy says, "Hey, we're ready for you," and everything. And they go and they have a moment of silence for Molly, right?
Right.
But then it all comes full circle, too, in a way, because this is her chance of being famous,
Yep.
And she's taking it, which is really nice after everything that she's been through so far. And it's just a nice full circle moment that she finally gets to be in the movie and be the star that she wants to. And then, in true X fashion, more like Pearl fashion, was the ending shot, which was the last shot of her fake head in the movie.
Yep.
Which looked really real.
It really did. It was kind of nasty.
It was kind of nasty, but it just, watched her head. Uh-huh. Kind of like how that last scene in Pearl was. It kind of did the same thing to her fake head. But, that's the end of the movie. It fades to black there and plays the credits and everything. And I actually really, really enjoyed the movie.
Me too.
A lot. I think it was... If it wasn't the best one, it was definitely one of the better ones of the trilogy.
Uh-huh.
I really liked this movie. I think it definitely had, the better story out of the 3.
It was really interesting.
Very interesting, yeah. And the stakes were high.
Yeah.
Because her friends kept dying, and it was eventually going to come to her. And honestly, about halfway through the movie, it's like, the killer can only be her dad, right?
Yeah.
You're thinking, it has to be her dad.
Sense.
That's what makes sense, but you don't know for sure.
No. You don't know until you know.
You don't know until they reveal it at the end. That's what's brilliant about it. It's it only makes sense if it's her dad, but it could totally be anybody. It could be the Night Stalker for all we know. So it was really interesting to, kind of do that. But I would probably give it an 8.5.
Yeah.
I'd say that's pretty
an
fair.
7.5, 8.
Yeah. So I think it was the better one of the trilogy for me. I think it had the best story.
Yeah, I think so too. It really kept you interested.
Right. I really wasn't bored watching it.
Me either.
You know?
Not at all.
The special effects kept me engaged. The story.
It was awesome.
The stakes at any time Maxine could have died. There was at least like 5 times that on screen I thought that she was going to be killed.
Yeah.
Which I was like, please don't, because I want, I would actually like more movies with her in it. Like Maxine's character. I thought it would be cool. But I hope Mia Goth, still acts after these movies. So I got a couple fear facts here. There's only 13 total. I just grabbed the most interesting ones. But the first one is that the Hollywood star that Maxine puts her cigarette out on is Theda Bara.
Uh-huh.
And she was like a sex symbol, kind of like how Marilyn Monroe was.
Yeah.
She was a silent film actor, right? But it's also the actress that Pearl took the name for her crocodile from.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, Theda Bara. And for the next one, Maxine's We shirt.
Yeah.
OUI was a reference to We, men's adult pornographic magazine.
Okay.
Published in the United States, featuring explicit nude photographs. We has ceased publication in 2007.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so it's kind of like a little bit of a callback to Maxine's like pornographic background and stuff. So that's kind of a interesting fact. The filmmakers actually went old school during production. The movie was made the same way as it would have been in the 1980s, i.e. using the same camera equipment as back then and avoiding modern trickery when filming.
Interesting.
Yeah, so it was filmed like an 80s movie.
That's cool.
It totally felt like a 80s movie. Like the obviously we weren't born in the 80s, but like we know, how they dressed and everything.
We know
the
we
cars
know the vibe.
and all that stuff. We know what the aesthetic was in the 80s.
For sure.
It truly looked like it. And when Molly Bennett, who was the actress, talks to Maxine outside of her trailer, she says that actresses have to stick together. Similar to Mitzi, to what Mitzi says to Pearl about sisters-in-law sticking together.
Yeah.
Which is kind of cool.
Yeah, that's cool.
Another callback. And for my final one, after Maxine finishes her audition at the beginning of the film and sees all the other actresses waiting in line, there's a sign that reads X Factor.
Oh, okay.
Something mentioned in Pearl and X and was like a big thing to describe Maxine. Like, Maxine has the X Factor and stuff. So it's kind of another cool callback. It was kind of like a blink and you'll miss it moment. Yeah. Which was pretty cool.
Something small.
So, I really enjoyed that movie. Go out and watch it in theaters.
Go see it. It's worth it.
It's definitely worth it. It's a very, very good movie. Mia Goth is great. And once again, thank you, A24, for that free ticket to go see it. I'm glad that I got that.
That's awesome.
That was a great movie. So I think we actually forgot to read the question. So read that question.
How many murderers are revealed at the end of the movie Scream? Answer, easy peasy, 2.
2. And now I'll just go ahead and read the next question.
What is the name of the main character who studies witchcraft in the TV show Buffy the Vampire Slayer?
If you know the answer, put it on the Facebook. If not, it's alright.
It happens. It's cool.
And, so sis, what's our next movie?
Smile.
Yeah, I've been kind of really wanting to watch this movie. It seems interesting.
When I was searching for movies, I was like, well, we haven't done that, and I've been wanting to watch it, so
yeah, I've been wanting to watch it too, so I'm glad that we're
That's
actually
exciting.
Gonna do it.
Yeah, me too.
So, we will catch you next week with Smile. Go out and watch Maxine as soon as you can. And, make sure that, you
check it out.
Check it out. Maybe check out the other 2 movies to kind of understand
just
the
do
references.
It. If you get a long weekend, watch all 3 movies.
But if not, if you haven't seen the other 2, it's not entirely detrimental.
No, definitely not.
You still enjoy the story.
I think it's cool to watch them all in order.
Yeah, but it's definitely cool to see all the callbacks to the other movies. But yeah, we'll catch you next week with Smile.
Catch you later.